Umi. Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out 7 ways British and American accents are very different.
The saying goes that England and America are 2 countries separated by a common language, but I'm gonna add that we're also separated by very different accents. Which is obvious. Daniel Craig sounds very different from Tom Cruise, and I sound different to most people in this country, except the 0.3% of UK residents who were born in the US.
Y'all be sure to go to Girl Gone London and like and subscribe.
But how exactly do our accents differ? Firstly, we've got to rewind to how British and American accents became so different. Because in the 1600s, those English settlers stepping off the Mayflower into the New World were definitely using their British accents.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's, you know what is really interesting, I think, is in Britain, how you can go a small distance and there's an entirely different accent. In the States, we have different accents, of course, but you gotta go to a different state or a different region entirely.
In fact, a lot of them would have actually sounded closer to today's American accents than the polished tones that you'll hear today in the BBC newsroom. And that's because over the centuries back in England, things started to shift away from that accent towards something called non-rhoticity, which means to drop the R sound. It spread among high society, becoming the hallmark of posh accents. Partly this was due to French influence, as removing harsh R sounds made English sound softer and more elegant.
Mrs. Bouquet. How do you spell bouquet? B-U-C-K-E-T. Bouquet.
Meanwhile, Americans, geographically and socially cut off from these English trends, held on to their more rhotic speech.
That's so strange. Okay, this is hard to wrap my brain around, but okay, back in the day, I don't know what year, British folks came to America, they had a certain accent, and they stayed over here in the States having that accent. Probably changed some. Yeah, it had to have changed some. But then back in Britain, it became in vogue to soften those R's because it was more French. A bouquet. I do always hear there's a certain Southeastern American accent in like Mississippi, Louisiana, South Carolina sometimes, where they also have a softened R. Like, I declare. I think that comes from the high society of Britain as well. Wealthy landowners, slave owners, who want to sound like aristocrats, right? Kaylin, continue.
Actually, the Americans preserved the more classic form of English from back in the day, while the Brits evolved. Throw in a mix of immigration, regional isolation, and even the influence of indigenous and immigrant languages, and boom. British and American accents began to sound less and less alike. Now, the first difference is something called rhoticity, which kind of sounds like rotisserie, but it's not the same thing. This has to do with the pesky letter R, which is maybe the single biggest difference between British and American accents.
Right.
Americans love their R sounds, no matter where they are in a word. Whether it's car, mother, or butter, you'll hear a clear, strong R sound.
Except for those Southerners who would say car. I'm going down to the market and I'm gonna drive my car. Baby, you can drive my car.
British accents, on the other hand, are pickier about when to pronounce the R. In received pronunciation and accents common in the south of England, the R is typically dropped at the end of the word or right before consonants.
But sometimes they add it. Sometimes y'all add it. If you say a word that ends with A or A, like pizza, pizza, Samantha. You know you do it. I hear you. I hear you do it all the time.
So while an American might say this word like car, a Brit might say it more like this.
I work in car sales.
But it's also important to know that across the UK, you've got regional accents that are way more rhotic, i.e. they pronounce the R more. I actually got to speak to a professional British English teacher with the help of Italki, the sponsor of today's video and the best online language learning platform for anyone who wants personalized one-to-one lessons that are all about you. Italki gives you the chance to book a one-to-one lesson with teachers who are native speakers of languages ranging from English to Spanish to Italian and more. The website is really easy to use. Just search for the teacher that would be a good fit for you. Now, the next difference between British and American accents has to do with vowels. British English loves its long vowels. Words like these are pronounced like this in British English.
Grass.
Grass.
Americans, on the other hand, take the short route or route. So bath sounds more like cat in my accent. So why do Brits sound like they're stretching words while Americans are cutting them short? It mainly comes down to regional accents. Again, British accents south of the Watford Gap, which is a loose cultural line dividing the north and south of England, prefer longer vowels.
The Watford Gap. I've never heard of the Watford Gap. Watford Gap. Watford Gap refers to a low-lying area in the English Midlands near the village of Watford in Northamptonshire, where the M1 motorway and the West Coast Main Line railway pass through a narrow gap between the hills. It's also a colloquial term for the notional boundary between northern and southern England, often associated with the Watford Gap service. Blah, 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 blah. Show me on a map. Watford Gap. There it is. Watford. Oh, that's a lot further south than I was expecting. I thought it would be like up by Sheffield, you know? Just from the looks of the space of the area. But it's way down there. Okay. Okay. The vowel thing. Bath. 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 But British people would... I gotta keep an ear out for that vowel extension or the vowel shortening, because I don't think I've noticed that before. Well, that's not true. Bath. Bath. We're going to Bath. We're going to Bath. We're going to Bath. Oh yeah, it would sound strange in an American accent to hold it out that long. Bath. 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 Grass. I want to hear that sound sample again. Bath.
English.
Grass.
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 Grass. I don't know, that sounds the same. Maybe that's a bad...
Americans, on the other hand, take the short route or route. So bath sounds more like cat in my accent. So why do Brits sound like they're stretching words while Americans are cutting them short? It mainly comes down to regional accents. Again...
Wait, but how does a British person say cat? They would say cat, right? Cat. 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 Pussy.
British accents south of the Watford Gap, which is a loose cultural line dividing the north and south of England, prefer longer vowels. But northern accents typically sound a bit more American with short vowels. Then there's the infamous cot-caught merger in American English. In most American accents, these words sound identical.
Caught.
I would say caught and caught.
What I think? Caught. Lay down on the cot. He got caught. Oh. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But in many British accents, they're pronounced completely differently. And number 3 is called...
No, how? How are they pronounced differently? Show me on Google.
Hey, it's Jennifer from Tarle's Speech with your 2 for Tuesday.
Hey.
This is going to be controversial. I'm teaching 2 words, caught, a small bed, and caught, to catch, as pronounced exactly the same way. Yes, you heard it. Exactly the same way. I'm from the Midwest in Chicago.
But how do British people say it? Is this a British, okay.
And if you have any words you'd like me to pronounce, let me know in the comments below. So both of these 2 words start and finish with the same 2 sounds, but let's take a look at this one first. This is cot.
Cot.
Ot. A short
Cot.
Vowel sound. The same vowel sound we see
Cot.
in the word sock. Cot.
Cot.
Cot. Now a cot is a baby's bed. It's the bed in which a baby sleeps. Where's the baby? He's in his cot.
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 Ot. Now let's compare it with this one. This is caught. Caught. So again with the k and the t. But the vowel sound in the middle this time is that long or vowel sound. Caught.
Caught.
Caught. It's the
Caught.
same vowel sound that appears in the word door. So caught
Door.
is the past simple and the past participle of the verb catch. Oh, I caught the ball. Or I caught the train at 9 a.m.
Caught.
Caught. So
Caught.
this is caught and this
Caught.
is caught.
Oh, caught and caught. Caught, caught, and caught. Caught and caught. Okay. Okay. Okay.
T flapping. Have you ever noticed
T
how
flapping.
Americans turn butter into, well, how I just said it, butter, sounding like it's with a D.
Butter.
And some Brits say something like this for butter.
Butter.
That's T flapping versus the glottal stop in action.
Butter.
Here's how it works. In most American accents, a T sandwiched in between two vowels often gets softened into a sound between a T and a D. This is why these words, in my accent, are butter, water, and better. So it sounds more like a D to non-American ears. Meanwhile, across the pond, in accents like Cockney or Estuary English, which is spoken around London, the T might just drop out altogether. So it's replaced by a brief pause, which is known as a glottal stop. So butter becomes like this.
Butter. Butter.
On the complete other end of the spectrum, received pronunciation in Britain, i.e. the Queen's English, avoids both of these and keeps a crisp, clear T sound everywhere. In that accent, these words would sound like this.
Water.
Now let's talk about the sound of the letter O.
Why? I want to hear Kaylin do these British accent words. She's farming them out, and I get it. That's cool. I just would like to hear her try to do it. I think it would be fun. Kaylin, show us your vulnerability.
Like this.
Water.
Now let's talk about the sound of the letter O. How you pronounce the letter O depends on which side of the Atlantic you're on. In American English, the vowels in words like stop and pot are pronounced like this: stop and pot. In British English, particularly Southern accents, the same words use a more rounded vowel, which gives them a fuller sound like this.
The correct pronunciation of this word is stop.
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 Now let's talk about intonation. British English tends to be...
Hang on. Stop. 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 Stop.
far more melodious than American English. I'm not gonna lie, it's just the truth. British speakers often add rises and falls in pitch, giving their speech a more sing-songy feel.
Rises in pitches? Rises in pitches?
Americans, on the other hand, tend to be more monotone, keeping their sentences relatively flat. Now,
Y'all going on down here to the state of Texas and get some damn barbecue and get going, you know what I'm saying? Gonna get on down there.
some American accents, like Southern drawls and the Californian Valley Girl accents,
like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This accent? Bill and Ted? It was an excellent adventure. Alright, that's enough.
add a more interesting twist to intonation. Californian Valley Girl accents do add more interesting twists to intonation, but generally American accents just don't sound as musical or pleasant to the ear as many of the British accents because of this rising and changing in pitch and intonation popular in a British accent.
Oh, I've never noticed that before. I feel like American accents do change the pitch. I just did. I'm doing it right now. I guess British people do it more. Yes, that's what she's saying.
Now let's talk about stress, and not the kind you feel when you have too much work to do, stress in language. If you've ever argued with someone about how to pronounce this word, I certainly have.
Advertisement. Or advertisement, right? Right.
Stress placement might be the culprit. Brits tend to pronounce this advertisement, while Americans insist on advertisement. Typically, in many of these instances, the British accent is using older pronunciations, so perhaps you could say that the pronunciation has more credibility, while Americans have sort of gone their own way. Finally, let's talk about something called yod.
That's an understatement, isn't it? Americans have gone their own way. To crazy town. You know, I'm curious to hear a British accent from before the aristocratic, non-rhotic thing kicked in. I would like to hear that. I'm going to look for that next.
While Americans have sort of gone their own way. Finally, let's talk about something called yod dropping, which is when speakers ditch a Y sound after certain consonants. For example, the word Tuesday in American accents, in my accent, is just Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And tune is tune.
Tune.
But in many British
Tuna.
accents, you can hear that they're saying tune or Tuesday rather than tune and Tuesday. This is a small but telling trait that immediately flags someone's accent. Other examples of this would be words like new in an American accent, and oftentimes new I can barely say it, in a British accent.
No, that's good.
Now, these are
She did it. She's doing the accent now. Way to go, Kaylin. Way to go. New, Tuesday, Tuesday. I've always heard that yod dropping as changing the T to a CH. So Tuesday would be Tuesday. But maybe I'm hearing... Sorry, Gregory. Bless me. Oh, thank you. Just a polite dog. But thank you, buddy. I love you. Go back to sleep. I guess I'm wrong. I guess they are saying the T, but there's a Y sound in there. Right?
just some of the differences between the two accents, and of course there are far more regional variations than this video discusses. The Scottish accent sounds very different from an English one, and a Southern accent in the US is far different than someone from Minnesota. But it is fascinating to learn about the general differences in these accents. Don't forget to click on the link in my description to book a language lesson with italki and get $5 free for your first lesson. As always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Y'all be sure to go to Girl Gone London and like and subscribe. And maybe give me a like and subscribe if you feel like it. I'd appreciate it. It helps me out. Makes me feel good. Lets the algorithm know what's up, right? Hit the dislike button if you are a piece of dog beater. But let's see. I want to hear the British accent from 1600. See what happens. A British accent from the 1600s would have sounded different from modern British accents. I know, that's why I'm looking for it. 17th century London accent according to Robert Robinson. Robert Robinson, thank you for making this video.
I sing not of Angelica the fair, for whom the paladin of France fell mad, nor of sweet Rosamund, old Clifford's heir.
That sounds Scottish or Irish to me, doesn't it?
Whose death did mark the second Henry sod, but of the farthest far peculiar.
Far. Ah, okay. I hear the R's. It's rhotic. Yes. I feel like when I was a little kid, I could do a British accent really well, but now I can't. 7 ways British and American accents are very different. See, it doesn't, there's something about it. It's not right. It's not right, Gregory. Isn't it? Yeah. This is forever interesting to me, just because there's so many accents, and it's wild that we can still understand what each other's saying, because they're so different. Yeah. Even from the south of Britain to the north, so different. English is wild, isn't it? Wild. Kaylin, thank you for making this video. I enjoyed it. Y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.